It's shit you having, it ain't shit you gotta keep on going.
Come on.
Like I was made for this. Nobody gave me shit. Get off your ass and not your feelings.
FueledByKraft, man. Another episode, Talkin Gridiron, my boy Twan.
Yo.
Back, man. A lot of crazy things that happened since the last time we did a Talkin Gridiron. Real close to the season starting, less than a week. So we felt this was the perfect time to get on here, kind of give you guys an idea of how we predict the season to turn out, predictions we have, our opinions on some big stories going into the season, starting off with the Jerry Jones thing. I'll let Twan, give his opinion first on Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
And
then, I do get that, it's a part of the game, the negotiation tactics and whatnot. But it gets to a point where, you do it with every superstar that comes through the door. At some point, you would get, you would think that the man would get tired of it. He has not. At his, the ripe age of 82, he has not. And the problem with that is he's dealing with a newer generation of athletes that really aren't prone to, deflection or, pushback. So basically, it's to my understanding that they came to a handshake agreement before the agent got involved. And when the agent got involved, the negotiations, turned on, their head. But the moral of the story is it's still a part of the game, Jerry. And you, out of everyone, would know that, these are the things that take place. My whole thing is, if Micah, says something and his agent says something else, but Micah's paying his agent, it doesn't really matter what Micah says then, does it? Because Micah's probably telling his agent something. So when you don't want to negotiate with the agent, I feel like there can be no discourse.
No.
I mean, the agent has already been paid.
For sure.
So, yeah, I get you needed to stop the run. And you feel that, Micah wasn't really doing his part in stopping the run. I still feel as though you went horizontally. Yes, you did get the first round picks, but you will not be a contender this year. Yes, you will stop the run, but you will have a deficit on the pass rush. So it's pick your poison with your defense, and that's never going to be a good situation for anyone. I think the Packers made a great move. I think that this puts them definitely as the top 2 NFC contender in the NFC as a championship caliber team, and Jerry's got to do better. I just don't think you can get rid of a 26-year-old superstar like Micah, and he's about to enter his prime if he's not already in his prime. He's had 12 sacks and up after his rookie year.
Yeah, 12 his rookie year.
I just don't believe that you get rid of a guy like that. He's a top 3 pass rusher in the league, and he's probably going to be number 1, number 2 coming up pretty soon.
And it's one of those things where, and we kind of had this conversation earlier, where this situation is kind of one of those situations where I understand both sides, and I understand, at least I think I understand, the Jerry Jones side, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I agree with it. Now, to play, the flip side of that coin, to play off just some things that he said, Twan said this is a new generation of players, and they're not, basically, I'm paraphrasing, they're not equipped to play the game, this business game, without having emotions involved, which I feel like is not a Jerry Jones or any owner's fault that the players are getting their emotions too tied into it. Now, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, because this is their livelihood. They spent countless hours striving to be perfect so they can take care of their families and provide generational wealth. But I think it plays into, which this isn't a football thing, with people say this generation of people are just soft. And by that, I just mean that if you know this is a business, I think that phrase is quite literal. Like, this is a business. So how business are handled, a lot of times the successful businesses or the top businesses had to do some things that might be morally questionable to get to where they're at, which is how Jerry Jones got the Cowboys in the first place. He did questionable things. He has his past. But not to get too off track, I think that now I don't agree with having an agent, but then speaking on contracts without the agent. I feel like that defeats the purpose. So I think that's more of a Micah Parsons not that he's in a rush because he deserves the money. Miles Garrett got paid, TJ Watt got paid, so he was due to get paid. But I think that him being too trigger happy and not just letting his agent handle the money just was a testament to maybe, I don't want to say immaturity, but he's young. Because I might have done the same thing, want to pull the trigger if I know the money is on the table.
And are you referencing the handshake deal?
I'm referencing the handshake deal. I don't know if it was wise to go in there and get a handshake deal done without your agent. And even if you're not knowledgeable, I do again fault Micah Parsons for not knowing who he's dealing with. This isn't the first disgruntled superstar. He's playing with three of them right now who kind of had to go through this up and down roller coaster to get their contracts. CeeDee Lamb, he took the Cowboys out of his bio. He did the holdout or whatever. Dak Prescott, he was a little more silent with the boycott, but
wouldn't you agree? So so basically what I'm about to say is, so do you agree with the trading of Micah Parsons?
I do not. I don't agree with the trade at all, but I'm also on that side of just because I don't agree with it doesn't mean it doesn't make sense to me. And I feel like we can't fully evaluate.
And how much sense does it make? How good of if you had to scale this move from a 1 out of 5, where would you rank it?
Well, considering the fact that a player of Micah Parsons' caliber goes for 2 first-round picks, they have 4 of those in the next 2 years. So from a value standpoint,
1 out of 5.
It makes sense. I say it's a I'm 3 out of 5 stars, 3.5 out of 5 stars if I'm ranking this trade off the potential. Now, again, I'm assuming that with these 4 first-round picks in the next 2 years, that you either A, combine these picks and go get a player who's ready now. I don't know at what position. We haven't, talked about that yet, or you just, use those assets in the draft and maybe go get a Caleb Downs who's eligible this year.
So they could probably go get a Trey Henderson from the Bengals if they wanted to.
I mean, they can go younger. I mean, you got 4 first-round picks. Somebody like Micah Parsons, 26, went for 2 of them.
A Nick Bonito.
Or maybe, and this is just me. I don't think this will happen at all. But who knows? What if Patrick, and this is a bad example, but I'm trying to think. Maybe let's say like a cornerback. Let's say the Cowboys are having trouble in the secondary again this year, and somebody like who's a good cornerback who hasn't got paid yet. Now let's not. So people watching, don't take this.
Denzel probably. Big.
So let's say because he was on the trade block with the Packers. Let's say Denzel Ward becomes available and you're the Cowboys. Now I'm not saying he's gonna go for 2 first-round picks.
Again, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't trade.
I wouldn't go get a corner.
But I'm just saying, what if you're the worst in the league at? What if you saw? What if the pass rushing isn't as big of an issue? But what if Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland just ain't getting it done, and every team is carving you up? And you got the worst secondary in the league, and then somebody like Denzel Ward becomes disgruntled. But you got the ammunition to go get players like that. Now again, I would go for somebody maybe less injury prone and more in their prime, but that's more just an example of you have the assets to get big name players if you don't want to wait for the draft. And this might sound like foul play, but Jerry Jones is closer to the end than he is still being with us, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? He's up there in age.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. The urgency of he wanting to see something happen now, I think is why you go get the 2 draft picks in the next 2 years. Because Micah Parsons, hell of a player, great impact, top 3, top 2 arguably at your position. And with saying all that, we have nothing to show for it as far as success as a team. And that's not saying that that's your fault, Micah Parsons. That's just saying this team has many more holes we need to fill. And in order to fill 5 holes, we might have to take this one, player to patch up these holes and live with, maybe we do regress at pass rush. Maybe we don't have an elite pass rusher, but we get better in 3 other places. Now, is it worth it then? I don't think we can fully say it was a good or bad trade until we figure out what's done with these 4 first-round picks in the next 2 years.
And this is why, I agree with some of Kraft is saying, but At the end of the day, I feel I would rank the trade as like a 1.5 or 2.
For sure.
Just for the simple fact that yes, draft picks are very valuable, and what you can do with those draft picks are amazing.
Yeah.
But we have to look at the history of the Dallas Cowboys and what they've done with their draft picks. They've gone really after need, and sometimes they hit and sometimes they miss.
Like any team.
And just like any team, it's really, really hard to draft a player such as Micah Parsons, his caliber. So, yeah, I get that, you can go out and improve your team with these draft picks, but I don't think we can say that those draft picks will eventually become a Micah Parsons. And my other thought about the situation is, you can go out and get Arch Manning.
Caleb Downs. Like spend the first round pick on a Caleb Downs.
Like Kraft said, though, Jerry is getting older in age. So with you going out and drafting rookies, and I don't know what, you would want them to do their rookie year, like what, you would ask them to do or what the expectation would be. But I can tell you this, you won't be making the Super Bowl in the first year that they're drafted. And I also believe that they don't have the team right now or in the future, within the next 2 years, 2 to 3 years, because I think that's what really counts in the trade, like, how fast you can really profit off the trade. If you're going into the process, if you're going into a rebuild, then I think you should just say that. But if you're going to, be a middling team, like, say, the Steelers or even the Bengals, for example, it's not cool because, yes, you have a great offense, but you don't have a defense. So, yes, you have you can stop the run, you have a great offense, but, again, you have no pass rush and your DBs are middle of the pack. So, again, that doesn't sound like a Super Bowl team to me. So, Jerry, you traded your best defensive player, maybe your best player on the team, and...
Ain't no maybe.
Yeah, ain't no maybe. So you traded the best player on the team, and you did get first round picks for it, which I agree is great. And it Kenny Clark, which is great. But if you think about it, in hindsight, do you really think you're going to draft? Like we said, it's 50-50. It's a hit or miss, and a lot of times guys don't draft Micah Parsons. So you do need a premier pass rusher on a Super Bowl winning team. Yeah. So I either you're gonna trade for one or you're gonna go draft one. So what are you gonna do, Jerry?
But here's the thing, bro. It comes down to, again, like with all that being said, at the end of the day, the NFL is a business. Now, and I'm not saying I agree with what he did, but how comfortable, hypothetical or rhetorical question, this is for, how comfortable are you putting that much money in 3 players, knowing that the Super Bowl might not come out of this? When you've been a gambler your whole life and you can go gamble again because it got you where you at now, gambling. He been gambling all these players.
He's 82, Kraft.
Exactly. So why not gamble again? Because it's like...
How long does he have left, like you said?
I don't know, but that's why you gamble again, because he already seen Dak, CD, and Micah Parsons for what?
My point is he's not going to do it with the rookies.
But you don't. That's what I'm saying.
I do know that because the quarterbacks in the league right now.
The Washington Commanders
not going to come in as a rookie and win the Super Bowl.
The Washington Commanders were a game away from going to the Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback in
Jaden Daniels has won the Heisman.
But listen to what I'm saying. We don't. Arch Manning might win the Heisman this year. We just don't know. It hasn't played out yet. You're jumping to conclusion, assuming that none of this is going to work. We don't know how the chips are. Now, what if Arch Manning lights it up, wins the Heisman, and Jerry Jones could get him? This is going to look like a master.
And again, what do we do with that?
You trade him. There's plenty of teams that need a quarterback.
Why pay him?
It's hindsight is 2020. You pay him 2-3 years ago. You're not. I mean,
like you said, you went through the contract dispute with Dak. You went through the contract dispute with CD
Lamb.
What was the point, Jerry?
It's a business.
And you're making the business complicated. You're making it stressful for everyone in the business, in the organization.
But look at his success rate. I'm not saying I agree with it.
What is the success rate? He hasn't won a Super Bowl in like 20 years.
See, we move it. I'm saying his success rate as far as winning these negotiations. He hasn't lost many players going through this is clockwork for Jerry. He damn near expects this with every player he's got. He did this with Emmitt Smith.
When are we getting a Super Bowl out of this, Jerry? Because when you got what did he get into it with Jimmy? Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson.
That was the last time he got that's the last time he got a taste of it.
No,
and
he
been
won
like
after
30.
that. He won after that. It was right after that, but he won that Schwartz or Britt. That dude, he used to coach at Oklahoma.
At least he won another one. But that was a year later. He got another one. But what I'm saying is, it's been a while, and you know, I've seen posts that basically put the Cowboys after the 20th century up there with like the Browns when it comes to like playoff success, and it's just like, what your tactics, Jerry? They're old, they're past, like, you know. And again, we've entered a new era, a new age, a new generation of players.
100%.
So it's just not going to work anymore, and that's how I feel about it. So with you playing the games that you've been playing, maybe you need to adjust them. Maybe you need to, you know, start thinking about shooting outside of the arc.
But if he gives Micah all that money, they can't pay nobody, bro. So you asking them, if you pay Micah,
but you just said they're good at drafting, so why not draft?
But listen to what I'm saying.
They're not good at drafting. That's why they haven't stopped the run with Micah there.
They are good at drafting, but to act like free agency isn't also a big part, especially when you're in an attractive city like Dallas. Every team benefits from the draft. I mean, from
Dallas is not an attractive city. The reason it's not is because people don't want to play for Micah. I mean, people don't want to play for Jerry.
Money talks, bro.
People don't want to play for Jerry in Jerry's world.
Money talks.
They're done.
Money talks.
Again, I think this will be a big statement on the players, because Micah Parsons is very prominent with the players. So him not getting paid, and he's on the Dallas Cowboys, it lets everybody know what Jerry's end game is. If he's not,
this isn't new. That's what I'm saying.
You're not working with Jerry. You're working for Jerry.
This is nothing new.
Which is understandable. He's the owner. But at the end of the day, I'm the best player in the league.
I'm just one of the, no, you're not.
I'm one of them.
You're one of the best players. But my thing is, bro, this isn't like Jerry Jones. And I'm one of those type of people that if I know who I'm dealing with, I don't put certain expectations on people if I know how they are. Again, not saying that it's right. But if I know how this man is, Jerry, again, Micah Parsons, you got players on the team currently that you cool with that didn't went through this with him. When it's time to get paid, you're gonna go through the ringer. Jerry gonna be a headache. And I'm not saying it's right, but as a businessman, that's what he gonna do. So to expect this to be a walk in the park, to be some cakewalk, and again, Micah Parsons.
I get what you're saying.
Why not? You hire.
But why do it with everyone? You know, everyone's in the locker room.
Because he wins it. I'm not. You saying like why do it? He's
It's like the Bengals. You got the rookie coming in there tripping, Shamar Stewart, because at the end of the day, he sees a premier fucking pass rusher in the league that's literally scratching tooth and nail to get his contract that he earned and that he deserves. And it's a problem. It's like, it's a morale thing for the pass rushers, especially if you're younger. You know, you see what the trials and tribulations that are guaranteed for you yourself, and you haven't even got 20 sacks in the league. You know what I mean? So then when Micah Parsons sees CD and he sees Dak Prescott going through trials and tribulations over their contracts, he thinks to himself, well, if I do good, if I do great, then maybe I won't have to deal with those same problems.
But shame on you.
And that's the problem with the organization. Because I think that with the Chiefs, you know, they pay their guys. I think, like, for example, Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey. These are guys that they drafted. These are guys that they watched be Pro Bowlers. Damn near all pros. I think one of them has an all pro. But at the end of the day, they watch these guys progress and become the players that they are today and move the goalposts for the offensive linemen that they draft in the future. But at the end of the day, they paid those men. They paid them what they earned, what they were guaranteed. And you see the money talks because Trey Smith is still doing what he does, putting people in the dirt. Now, if you wanted to, you know, show some gratitude to the players that you draft, then I think that you would just pay them what they are allotted. But you don't do that.
That's where I gotta stop you at, bro. When you say what they're allotted, the number changes every year. So
you make more money every year.
Cool. But that's why the price changes every year. So to be like, he deserves this much money, I feel like that's a fictional number that we just automatically assume. It's
not a fictional number. Myles Garrett and TJ Watt just got paid. He wanted more than them.
Right, but I'm saying like what he's allotted as far as, okay, he wants to get paid more than them. And who says we don't know if the offer wasn't more? He wanted a specific number. Now Jerry Jones, how he wording it, and again, this is he said, she said, we haven't seen it, we'll never know. But according to him, it was gonna put him in that position. But it was for
It looks like he's getting paid less with the Packers.
No.
It looks like he's getting paid less with the Packers.
But it's on a shorter contract. Jerry Jones wanted the contract to be
longer. He wanted 5 years, $250. That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah.
And with the Packers, I'm pretty sure it's 4 years, $177.
And the agent, you know why they didn't do that? Because the agent says, the likelihood of getting a second contract at that point in your career, if you get tied down that long, is less likely. So let's take the lesser years, but probably the same amount of money, so we could get paid again.
So all that play ball, Jerry. Because of the handshake, is that really why you're not playing ball?
So let me ask you this: as an owner, if I'm let's say I'm Jamar Chase and you're the Bengals owner, and I come to you and I'm like, okay, I want X, Y, Z amount of money. You say, okay, cool, but I want you to work for me for 7 years instead of 5 because you that damn good. And I say, nah, I only want to stay here for 5. How am I mad at you? I'm trying to tie you here longer. I'm trying to keep you here longer. Now, as a businessman, you got to do what's best for you too. So if you don't want to be here long because you want to get paid again, then that's you. But don't call me a bad guy because I'm trying. The offer's on the table,
so
and it's the amount of money.
So when does it become a problem when I don't want to work for 7 years and I want to work for 5?
That's cool. You get traded.
But why can't you just accept that I want to get paid for 5 years?
Because that makes more sense for you than it does me.
And how is that so? Because
if I put all this money into a one player, if you put all this money into me, you have less money to go fill other
roles. You want to stretch
roles.
the money out, that's fine. But again, you know my value, and that's why you want to pay me. So again, sure. I want you to pay me what the best deal for me would be instead of the team, because you're paying me and not the team. So sure. And that's how I would feel about it if it was my money that we were talking about. So again, when you discuss other people's money and other people's problems, that's some shit. I mean, that's some things that you have to deal with as an owner. Not me as a player.
What do you mean?
I'm not the quarterback.
Hey, owner,
I'm not even the quarterback.
You deal with my problems. Owner, you deal with my personal
Your job
problems.
is to cut the check. Just cut the check.
It's on the table. You didn't sign it. It's on the table.
The check is not as valuable as it is to me than it is to you.
But
again, you can keep it so you can keep your check.
And if we don't, and boom, and I'm gonna keep it, and we don't agree, so I'm gonna trade you. So boom, and I check all these boxes because boom, I don't have to pay you all this money. You get what you deserve. Boom, I get 2 first-round draft picks and a ready-now player. So that's what I'm saying. I don't agree with it. I wouldn't have traded him. But looking out of Jerry's eyes, at some point, we're not going to keep going back and forth. Either we agree or we don't. And it's cool to agree to disagree. And that don't mean it's static. It don't mean I don't respect you. It just means I thought this was a
where did this conversation come up when he paid Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb their money?
Because he asked.
I don't understand why he wasn't valuing in the team. Because he knew I needed to get paid. Me, Micah Parsons.
For sure.
So, again, when you paid them boys their money, what they were allotted, to make them the number one players at their positions, why wouldn't you think of the number one DN
because it goes as far as like, and again, I'm not agreeing with it, but maybe the Cowboys franchise views the quarterback and the wide receiver as the 2 most valuable positions in the game, if not two of the most, because they did have legendary wide receivers and legendary quarterbacks, and big success came from that. Now, maybe they feel like, we got to stick to that trend because that's what's worked for us, and that's our strong suit as far as finding good players. So that's what we value more, And I agree. A pass rush, I believe, is the 3rd most important position on the field behind quarterback and tackle.
So then why wouldn't you think about paying the man? Because I just don't understand that.
We're not winning.
You're talking. Look,
I don't have long. We got winning. I'm finna roll the dice again.
We're talking about contract negotiations. You're talking about other people being paid, and that's why you can't pay my money.
You asked why was it so easy for them to get the money and not me? Because they play those positions that we value more than the position you are playing.
And he plays DN again. He plays DN, and I guess
I'm not saying I agree with
is more valued than a DN. I haven't heard of that.
Do you believe that CeeDee Lamb is a better wide receiver than Micah Parsons is an edge rusher?
No.
Some might believe it.
Again,
so maybe
CeeDee Lamb is top 5. Micah Parsons is top 3.
And it also comes in, it's a business at the end of the day. So sometimes you just SOL in the fact that their contracts was due first. Hell, if you came in the league before them, maybe you would have got paid, and it's Dak who don't get the money. It's a timing thing.
Has Micah Parsons been an All-Pro player?
Yes.
Why wouldn't you pay him his money?
I don't know.
He's 26 years old.
I don't know.
This is a conversation
but this is my thing, though.
Can go on for days, though.
Maybe if you're 64, Jerry Jones, maybe you do pay him because you got more time. But Jerry Jones, you never know. He might know stuff we don't. He might know he's not around for long. So I didn't went my whole life rolling the dice and got big success from it. Why not roll the dice again?
Well,
now,
you have to
this
play a rival now, and I think that
For
Micah
sure.
Parsons
This
will
ain't
definitely
new to
make you
him.
pay. So
Jerry Jones has been under fire.
y'all
He's
can
been
figure
there.
it out.
But yeah, so that's how we feel about Jerry Jones. Let us know how you feel. Again, we both, to make it clear, we both don't agree with the trade. We both would have kept Micah Parsons. I was kind of just playing devil's advocate for the sake of conversation, as far as why certain players or certain people might deem this trade as a good trade. Because I have been seeing people like Skip Bayless and just random people on Twitter kind of praising this trade as if they weren't calling this man 11 from heaven just 2 years ago. So that's what we got to say about that.